revisit and refresh your marketing plan. So my opinion on this is that I would say that most people came up with their 2020 strategy in just late December and where everything was all hopeful and 2020 and this great number and all that. And then we had, in Australia, we had fires and floods and now COVID. And so my biggest advice and what I've done for my business, and I'll open the floor in a second, but is to go back now and have a look at those kind of strategic plans that you had in place and see what's relevant right now, what's not quite relevant, and also what's been happening. I mean, you know, Ariel, do you want to weigh in on marketing plans and how you're adapting them at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, pre the new year, we all had that buzz. It was going to be a great year.
New millennium.
So much was going to happen. Had all this positive approach.
Right?
And unfortunately, that's not what ended up happening. And now that we've just gone through the tumble of life in the last few months, we really need to relook at that marketing plan and make sure we're being sensitive and considerate of our customers and make sure we're really looking at that. I do think now they actually want that optimism again. We want that hope. We want to be hopeful. We want to have optimism of the future. We want to have that consistency we were talking about because things have been so up and down. And I think when we look at that marketing plan, I think consistency is going to be key.
The positivity.
Positivity
is a huge, we've all been through so much COVID, so much negativity and all that. And like we've been talking about like the phrase reclaim 2020, you know, and the new norm and embracing the new norm, all those kind of things we need. I think, you know, Ariel, you're right, is that maybe we don't dwell on the negativity anymore. And in our marketing messages, we need to be positive and embracing this new era. I mean, Kristen, do you want to?
Look, I mean, like for us at Font and Swatch, we've had been lucky enough to have some really excellent long-term clients where we built up very close relationships with them. The challenge that we've now experienced through COVID is that you can't engage face-to-face with them. You can get on the phone to them, etc., but you really have to find and pivot. Oh, I've used that word. You've really got to
We've had to do a lot of pivoting.
You know,
Pivot is a word,
You've got to reassess how you're going to engage with that client base because we're not the only business that's structured like that. I think so. Our emphasis has moved much more digital. So we've increased our presence. But in being a branding agency, we've also taken on board. We've given ourselves a bit of a colour refresh. So we've actually looked at our brand and then we've given it, not necessarily, what we didn't want to do was change our own brand or advise our customers to change their brand immediately, but really to refresh it and add to their colour palette and use colours that are really trending at the moment. Things like the neon colours are excellent for digital and capturing attention. And then we're also looking at our fonts, trying to move away from some of the
Korea,
but using different fonts that are really clear, but differentiate our business and also our customers' businesses when they're on a digital platform. So that's been something for us, and really getting beneath what is it that are the values of our brand, and making sure that we've got that authenticity coming through. Because we'll talk about a little bit more about informing customers, etc. But I think that you've got to get across that everybody's been through quite a challenging experience, and it's okay to be authentic about that and explain where your business is.
People are relating to that message.
They really are. What they won't relate to is you trying to put out a falsehood that everything's rosy and I'm fine and it's just the way it was before. People won't relate to that.
That was an interesting one, wasn't it? I suppose during COVID is that the amount of support and awareness and appreciation that people had. You know, everyone got it. You know,
it was the empathy, wasn't it? It really was empathy
between business and
empathetic is so important. And we've actually seen that with video. We've started doing so much more personal video because everyone's at home. So internal communications, leaders speaking directly to their employees, virtual reality events we've been doing. There's been so many innovative ways that people have had that connectivity and been able to keep that empathy. And with you, of course, because, with marketing strategy, that would be huge for online.
Well, the nice thing is in using the different marketing assets and channels that you guys do is that we can then build that level of trust with customers, and really, whereas previously we didn't worry about that so much, or many of our clients would kind of go, no, we just need to kind of broadcast our message. We don't have to worry because you come in store, we have a conversation, we get to meet and greet everyone. The trust is built up at that point. It's not so much done earlier.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, well, you don't get that chance. You don't get to create that kind of connection and face to face, a little bit more now than we did, a month ago.
Yeah.
But there's still really that lacking element where the more we can push that into our marketing and start building trust early in that process, the more likely we're going to have a customer later on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I think the key takeaway for this point is making sure that you're going back and looking at your plan, because right now I find that all businesses need direction, right?
Yep.
Like not just your customers, but businesses, if you're winging it through this period, I think that's when you're going to really struggle.
Yeah.
And so I think that the best sort of strategy for this point is go back, look at your campaigns and see what you plan to do and see what needs to be, adapted at the moment, what needs to be revisited, because I feel like there's a risk for businesses to go, it's okay. No one knows what they're doing right now, so we'll just go with it. And that is a big risk, because if you're not planning ahead and looking even over the next 6 months to a year, and predicting that COVID, at least the era might last for longer than we predict.
Yeah.
And so just making sure that you're keeping your plans up to date and your team well informed about all these things.
Also, what we haven't really covered is unfortunately marketing seems to get cut first with the recession. And actually, as marketing individuals, it's up to us to make sure our marketing plan is in place. If you're at a larger corporation, that you're saying, no, we are important and this is what we need to get out there, and it's going to be essential to our brand to put out this content to make sure we're staying relevant and having that consistency and making sure that you get to keep your budget and your stock within your company.
I think the big thing we're sort of encouraging all of our clients, or certainly working with them, is doing that refresh. The marketing plan, we looked at it 2 months ago and went, well, we clearly have to change
2 months
it. Now it's like, well, so quickly we're having to rechange it again. But that's awesome. It's a great opportunity. So when we sort of look at our clients and refocusing, it's looking at, okay, what is the audience? Is it still the same audience it was 3-4 months ago? A lot of businesses we've worked with have had to pivot and do that. So that word again.
So that didn't work.
But they've had to look at other audiences to sort of keep business going. And so now, do they continue to go with those new customers that they've been going after, or do they go, well, actually, no, let's just go back to what we were doing before? Their services have obviously evolved and stuff as well, so that changes things. But if we look at it from a marketing plan, look at your audience, look at the goals and what's achievable now in the next, at least certainly to the end of the year. I'd be looking at the messaging side of things and saying, well, how is your message evolving? And most importantly is looking at the channels that we use. And Kristen, you mentioned it before, is that, really that shift towards digital as a sort of digital first and get that kind of working. And then kind of continue to add in all the other channels along the way.
Yeah, and look, I see this as an opportunity as well. There's going to be a lot of opportunities that come out of this, but particularly where you're talking about the messaging, I think that you've now got a real opportunity to spend and invest a little bit more time on the nurture aspect of capturing a customer, because there isn't necessarily going to be that face-to-face contact. People are going to effectively review your brand and your business through digital media before they even come into contact with you. And it's going to be happening behind the scenes. We already know that, it's around about 8 contact points before they even pick up the phone to you historically. Imagine how many contact points we're going to hit now. And so that investing time to nurture a customer into your brand and into your business, I think will be time well spent.
Yes.
Yeah.